good afternoon, and good afternoon. I am Dr. James Smith Jr., and welcome to another incredible edition of the Dr. James Show. Yep, I'm going there. I'm super excited. I can't wait to share our guests with you today. When I was in corporate, my nickname for a while was Mr. Energy. And even on the speaking circuit, motivational speaking and doing workshops, Mr. Energy. And this Mr. Energy guy never thought he would meet someone whose energy parallels his, speaking in the third person. Well, our guest today does and did. And when I met him for the first time, I was blown away. He was in charge of a department called the Wow Department. Most people call him Tim Killion. I call him Super Tim Killion. He's the Vice President of Marketing Communications and Brand for EDA Contractors. He is the bomb. He's the wow guy. He's also a good friend. And bring him out now, and we'll have a conversation about where he's been, where he is, where he's going. Welcome, Super Tim Killion. What's up?
Dr. James, how are you, buddy? Great to be here.
I'm good. I can't believe you're actually still for a second. What's life like these days? What's going on? What's hot?
Well, much different than I guess the 15 or 16 years ago when you met me. So life takes many turns, and there's been a lot of good ones over the last few years, including having 2 kids now. So you might see a receding hairline and some.
Don't blame it on the kids.
Now I have 2 great kids, Aiden, who'll be 4 next month, and Ashton, who'll be turning 8 months in just a few days. And Bridget, my wife, she's still married to me. She has, head for the hills.
Where's her hairline because of that?
You know what? She still looks as great as ever. Come on, she's married to me. How bad can it be, right?
I remember the first time I saw you go. I think it was at Commerce. I came in to observe an onboarding, new hire onboarding training.
Yeah.
Traditions.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to see this guy in action. I've heard so much about him. When that session was over, I was tired and I was just observing your energy for the entire 8 hours, including jumping up on top of the table. I'm like, this guy is the truth. You remember those days?
Yeah, and when you love what you do, it's easy for your passion to show through. I had a great opportunity. It was a great start to my career at Commerce Bank, and they let me just run wild with it. And we had an awesome culture. It was a fantastic company and a lot of great people there. And, look, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. And I want to represent the organization, the company, or myself or my family as best as possible. And Traditions was a fantastic first day orientation class, new hires of all levels. And it was unlike any other class. It wasn't your typical orientation class. If you think about orientation, it was, hey, fill out a bunch of paperwork, watch a sexual harassment video from the 1970s, and then go
and bring HR to come in and talk about comp and benefits and all that stuff.
This was the opposite. This was really laying out the red carpet for all of our new employees and letting them know, hey, this is who we are. And if that works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too, okay as well. But this is who we are as Commerce. And for me, I wanted people to leave that classroom and say, wow, this is awesome. This is a great place to work. And I also wanted them to say, wow, that's the best trainer I ever had.
Yeah.
So I wanted to continue to raise that bar, and it was a great time.
Tim, we're going to encourage people to put their thoughts, their questions in the chat room, and I'll be taking a look and bringing their voice in as well. But tell me about your journey to Commerce. I don't know that story. And
sure.
The Wow Department, who comes up with the Wow Department? And the third question, so journey to Commerce, the Wow Department. And were you in charge with creating the wow for the organization and the wow for Traditions, or were you given a playbook?
Sure, sure. So the story goes, I graduated college. I went to Marymount University down in Arlington, Virginia. I love DC, went there for an 8th grade trip for 3 days. And when I was looking for colleges, I was like, I wanted to go to DC, or it was like Florida. I wanted to go somewhere where it was warm. I got the best deal, practically almost a free ride to go to Marymount. Headed down there, had a great time, and graduated. And I was looking for a job. I had a temp.
Did you have a really great time, or was it all books? Did you party a little bit?
I wish I partied more. I mean, I did all right for myself, don't get me wrong, but I wish I enjoyed it more. I was really focused on graduating in 4 years and being involved in a ton of things, and I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. But I wish I did enjoy myself, because people did tell you, and you hear this old adage, time goes fast, and college is going to go faster than high school, and it's different than high school. I thought high school went fast, college went even faster. So I did my fair share, I did okay, but I wish I enjoyed it some more. So I graduated, I was looking for a job. I had a temp to hire position at Ascendant Mortgage in the HR department and staffing. That was my degree. I had a business degree with an HR specialty. And so I was still looking for jobs. And one night excuse me, I'll take a step back. A friend of mine worked for Commerce. So as I'm reaching out to anyone I know, someone I went to high school with, she worked at Commerce, and I said, hey, Barb, tell me more about it. And she goes on to tell me that she works for the WOW department. And I said, what the heck is that? What are you talking about?
How did that land on you when you heard she's in charge of the WOW department?
Well, she was working there, and I said, well, first of all, I said, what are you talking about? What is that? And then she said, well, basically, Commerce has a customer service / culture department. That's what it's all about. You know, that's what Commerce is all about. And basically, she's like, look, when we have a grand opening, you know, we get to go to New York and open up these new stores. It's a big grand opening party. And she explained all these cool benefits, all these great things they did, talked about the WOW Awards and all this fun stuff. And I said, that's at a bank? Are you serious? So she said, yeah. So I gave her my resume. And then shortly after that, you know, and I had some interviews, but they had a job fair. So one night on my way home from Ascendant Mortgage, I stopped at the Crown Plaza Hotel on Route 70 in Cherry Hill.
Exactly.
It happens to be, fast forward, where my wife and I had our wedding reception.
We're going to talk about Bridge real soon.
I'm sure, I figured you would. And I showed up there, and they said, well, what are you interested in? I said, well, HR. They had this management development program. I asked about that. And I said, or the WOW department. Well, they looked at me. They're like, well, what do you mean? I was like, how do you know about the WOW department? I said, well, I mean, I know a friend who works there, and she said that it would be a great fit for me. So it happened to be that the manager of the department, the vice president of the department, was there at the job fair. So they had me interview with him. And at the end of the interview, so he said to me, he said, listen, Tim, he's like, I don't know what job you're going to get, but we're going to find a job for you. We want you at Commerce. And I said, oh, sounds good to me, you know. Fast forward a couple of days, did an interview. They called me back for another one, and I thought it was going to be a second interview, and it turned out to be a job offer.
Ooh,
enough, I get the job offer during my lunch break, because I went there on my lunch break and I was at Ascendant. It was right down the street. I get back to Ascendant Mortgage that afternoon. They offered me a full-time job the same day. So now I went from nothing to having two
choices
offers on the table, and they both were great companies. But I went the Commerce route because of the diversity of what I was going to be doing. I was going to be doing a little bit of everything. At Ascendant, it was strictly staffing, and I liked it, but it wasn't really. There's no passion in it. Like, it wasn't driving me. But the opportunity to do a little bit of everything in this WOW department really appealed to me. So I took the job with Commerce.
Question for you: during that the same lines we're going, you got an opportunity where you could be you.
Yeah.
There are so many people who say I'm one way at work and I'm one way at home, but Tim Killion got an opportunity to bring Tim Killion to work every single day, heart, body, and soul, to impact the corporate culture. What was that like for you? And did it feel like a job or like a joy?
Well, it you know, something really, it showed me during that that job fair, when I met with the head of the WOW department at the time, when he said, look, your personality, and your skill set, that's what we want. He said, we want, and when he said that we're going to find a job, I don't know what job it's going to be, but we want you at Commerce. That said something to me. I was like, oh, all right. Because I didn't have that discussion with anyone else that I've interviewed with. And then when I showed up there, and they basically said, hey, you can write your own ticket here. Be you, have fun. And then when I went through traditions, and that same person who hired me, it was John Manning at Commerce, he taught the class, and I sat there and I said, wow, this is amazing. And I saw his personality show through, and he's like, look, you're going to be teaching this class too, so have at it. And then all the uniqueness of what Commerce brought in terms of customer service, in terms of getting rid of those banking hours and being open 7 days a week, and the free lollipops and coin counting and all that stuff that they did showed that we wanted to be different. And John always reminded me, hey, have fun, be yourself, and run with it. And that's what I did. And time again, at my reviews and stuff like that, they just kept giving me the green light. Just keep doing what you're doing, and people were responding to it. So it was a lot of hard work, to get me wrong. We were a growing company and so forth. But when I was in the classroom, or I was doing a special event, or running a project, it was me, just being me, and them allowing that and recognizing how they can utilize my talents and how I can utilize this platform to really create an experience for our employees and our customers. But that's what it was all about. WOW, the whole concept of WOW, going back to your original question, is it's all about creating an experience for the customer. And that when you hear a customer, you think about that external. But for me, majority of my job was for the internal customer, the employees. And when I got there, WOW was already established in terms of, they give me a playbook. There were certain parameters and things, but we were doubling our size every couple of years. So we had to continue to refine and adjust. And they allowed me to do that and take the lead with a lot of that, including when Commerce became TD, and we brought two very distinct cultures together. Your typical bank at TD, Bank North, to the opposite of a bank, Commerce, and figuring how we can kind of mold everyone together.
So essentially, you were creating internal customer experiences, where it's not just a job, it was an experience. When I teach my courses now for Temple, I always say, this isn't a class, this is going to be a 15-week experience. What goes into creating experiences so that you can shape or change a corporate's culture?
Well, one, it's never about you. It's about who's going to be in front of you, and wanting them to walk out of there and realize that, one, they've made a great decision. Two, that they can trust to be themselves, that they can trust that the company is there to support and help them. But there's many, many layers to it. Culture is such a buzzword thrown all the way around. And a lot of companies, over my time, would ask me to come in and speak or consult. And basically it was, hey, come in and do what you do, for a couple hours or a half a day. And, everything is going to be fine because they're going to love you. And it was like, no. This isn't just a dog and pony show. Like, you have to be committed to it, from the values of the organization, from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom. And all has to be infused in everything you do. You can't have a great customer service platform or experience for the external, but then treat your internal customers, your employees, terribly. That it does not connect. So you really have to drill in of, what do you want to be as an organization? Yeah. Hands down. What is it that you want to be? Is it you want to be extremely aggressive, alpha, like drive for every last penny at all costs? Okay, that's the culture you're choosing. You're going to recruit that type of personality, and it's full-fledged. If you want to be a more family atmosphere, where people can be more comfortable and genuine and be themselves, well, then that has to be in alignment from the minute they experience your website, the minute they experience your HR rep, to the people who are hiring, the interview process, the onboarding process, how people do their jobs, the values of the organization. That all has to be in alignment. It can't be, oh, we're going to be this type of company today for this, but tomorrow, no, we're going to go this route. You send mixed messages, then people don't know what's up or down. And then they become uncomfortable, untrusting, and they're looking over the shoulder because they don't know what the flavor of the month is going to be. And that's what happens time and time again with organizations and companies. There's a flavor of the month that someone reads something in the Harvard Business Review or sees something on the internet, or a friend of a friend says, oh, we do this now. And then they try to kind of shoehorn that into what they have existing. And you don't have anything. What you have is confusion. And there's no realness, there's no genuineness. And how can anyone buy into something if it's ever changing? Because there's no solid base.
That's good. That's good. You have me thinking why some of the organizations had challenges switching to a virtual workplace. Because if they didn't have the chemistry when they were live, they weren't going to have the chemistry from a distance.
Yep. And if you are, for instance, want to lead by fear, or your culture is you have to be at your desk handcuffed 8 to 5 every day, doing your job every minute can account for, you can never work from home, there's no flexibility, and now everything shuts down. In order for your business to have a chance, you need to have a remote workforce over the past year, plus. Well, how's that going to work?
Yeah.
How's that going to work? Because when your boss or manager or the leadership can see you every day at your office, and if you're sitting at your desk, that means you're doing your job. Now you're at home, can't see that. So then what does that feel like? What does that look like? So then people who are now stressed because of the pandemic and worried about losing their job, or their spouse could be, or the kids going to school, or their grandmother or grandfather, mother or father getting COVID. And now they're like, well, now I got to be handcuffed to my desk at home, or the kitchen table, the dog's barking, the kids crying. What am I supposed to do? Oh, my boss is checking in on Messenger to make sure that I'm there. How do you function like that? There needs to be some trust and a little give. But to your point, if that isn't already solidified, you're making your life exponentially harder. Now, on the flip side of that, as I said, if the culture was, hey, every minute of every day, you're driving, okay, well, same expectations there at home. But when is enough enough? When does that burn people out? When does that get people to say, I can't do this anymore? Or when do they start to turn on you or the organization, which you don't want?
There's a comment in the chat room I think is pretty good. It says, what a great experience at Commerce Bank. When I started at the SCB Bank, after 6 months, you were invited for a tea with the C-suite. Not so much. Wow. And I believe the comment is from one of our friends who lives and works in Sweden. So you got Sweden here today providing their thoughts. I've did my research, and I saw some of the places you guys went to celebrate employees' achievement. There was Radio City Music Hall, the Philadelphia Kimmel Center Performing Arts, the Academy of Music, the Beacon Nikovia Theater in New York. What? You guys can just go around the corner or rent a college auditorium. You guys went big. What went into that thinking?
It was all about standing out and being different and showing the appreciation for all our employees that, hey, your hard work. We worked hard and played hard at Commerce, but ultimately it was, we're not just this small bank from South Jersey that when we initially went to New York, a lot of the New York big banks thought, and it was, we're going to make a name for ourselves through our service, through the experience. Oh, and by the way, we treat our employees just as well as our customers. And when we celebrate, we're going to celebrate big. So there I am on stage at Radio City Music Hall multiple times, emceeing the WOW Awards. Can
you do us a little intro, just a little bit of what you would do? Just give it a tag. Give it a tag. Give us the opening of one of the WOW Awards at Radio City Music Hall. Tim Killion, mic check, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and wowers of all ages, welcome to the WOW Awards.
My man, what was that like for you? All the big venues.
I'm standing on stage of Radio City Music Hall, where the celebrities and greats of all ages have performed, where the Rockettes are kicking their legs up, where the MTV Video and Music Awards are held, and here I am standing in front of 5, 6, 7,000 people, and I'm working. I'm working, right? Like it was, and we could point to the WOW Awards, which we did every year, and it was amazing. But there was so much smaller things that led up to that in terms of all the reward and recognition programs we did. But the WOW Awards was the pinnacle. It was a mixture of a political convention, of the Oscars, the Emmys, kind of all rolled in. But it was really for us to celebrate the best of our employees in terms of the best tellers and CSRs and store managers and retail market managers and consumer loan folks. I mean, it was our way of saying, hey, thank you. We're going to have some fun. And you know what? The other thing too is this wasn't like during the workday. This was like on the weekend or at night. So people were taking a couple-hour bus ride back and forth, and they wanted to. And there was all kinds of different surprises and celebrities that pop up and giveaways and so forth. But it really, truly was a big hug to the organization. Thank you for everything that you're doing. We want you to grow with us. We're not growing without you. And by the way, yes, we recognize you're working hard, but we want to have some fun too. And here's in a very big, boisterous way of us saying thank you.
Huge.
That's huge. By the way, Jim, no one else was doing that. Bank, very little, any other company was doing it. But, we had the big red C on the marquee of Radio City Music Hall. Like, people were driving by wondering what the heck's going on. And when they found out we were a bank, it was like, what are you talking about? And then that created a buzz. But ultimately, when customers or potential customers walked into any one of our stores, it looked different, it felt different, we treated you different. And that's what it came down to.
Please join us in our conversation. Tim Killion, Super Tim, I call him, has always done things in a big way. So comments, questions in the chat room, we'll get to them. All right, Tim, I've followed your career from commerce to CubeSmart to EDA where you are now.
Yep.
I've always known you to be big, to be wow, to create huge experiences for people. So I think I know you, or I thought I knew you well. 2019, I'm on the road. I'm driving home. I have to get through Pennsauken to get to Mount Laurel. I come to a stop sign and I see this billboard of Tim Killion running for mayor of Pennsauken. You're there, billboard with your running mate. OMG, Tim is running for mayor. And we're going to show a picture of you taking your mayoral oath. So I want you to describe what's going on here, how you were feeling, what you were thinking. We're going to put that picture up there right now. Take a look. What was that day like for you? What did it feel? What were you thinking?
Well, what I was thinking is make sure I get the oath right and not that. That's what I was really thinking.
Who's in the picture? Who's that? Bridget. I see your beautiful wife, Bridget.
That's my wife, Bridget, and that's my son, Aiden. He was helping me hold the Bible that I had my left hand on, and that's Judge Maloney, who was swearing me in. So the first thing in my head is don't screw this up. The second thing was, ultimately the responsibility and of the office and the trust of the residents of Pennsauken. I had a front row seat for 20 years of my father. He was on township committee, and the way we're set up, just to give everyone a little background, because it's a little bit different. Philadelphia has a strong mayor form of government where you elect the mayor. It's every 4 years for the most part. And they are the figurehead for the town, the city, or so forth. In Pennsauken, we have a 5-member township committee that 5 of us govern the township, and it's in a part-time position. And essentially, we rotate the mayor position each year because all 5 of us have full-time jobs. And being on committee or being a mayor is essentially a full-time, part-time job. So
Wow.
wear on you, and ultimately, there's 5 of you, so everyone gets a chance at it and so forth, if they so choose. But it's a huge responsibility. So for 20 years, I had a front row seat of watching my father lead the town as mayor 7 times and being on committee for 20 years. He retired, and so for many years, I was in the background, and I was running campaigns. I was head of the local political organization. I, did a lot of different things behind the scenes. And, when he retired, his seat opened up. And, not because of my name, but truly because of the work that I was doing for many years since I graduated college. And I would even say even prior to that, because when I was a kid, I was knocking on people's doors, stuff up on doing door knockers and hanging door knockers up. And
so you weren't selling lemonade and water ice and shining shoes. You were out there canvassing.
Putting signs on people's lawns and so forth. Even before my dad was involved, when he was a county committee member. So when I was asked if I was be interested in throwing my name in the hat, it was an honor. There was a legacy that my dad has created. And, I talked about years ago, my brother is a teacher there in town. My other brother is a cop, and my father was, involved in politics. So we have one leading, one teaching, and one protecting the town. And I always really, looked up to all of them. And my path went to the private sector. So now I'm coming back and being asked to throw my name in the hat, and went through the process. And they said, hey, we want you to fill the vacancy and then run for the term. So it was humbling, an honor, literally every day last year prior to the pandemic. And then when things opened up a little bit, where I would come into my office here in Ben Salem at EDA, when I would drive over the Betsy Ross Bridge, the weight of the office, you look at it, it's like, hey, it's, people are looking to me as the mayor to have answers and looking for me to make their lives a little bit better than it was yesterday. So truly an honor. In the back of my mind, from way back when, I always thought I'd go into politics, but as life happens, it wasn't happening. And I was okay with doing the stuff behind the scenes, and really enjoyed helping and supporting my dad, because I knew his heart was in it and he cared a lot about the town and the residents. And it was great to see that, for people to see that the father that I had now try to help out so many others. And then he said, hey, it's time for me to retire. And it's like, hey, how can I continue that legacy, but also build my own and to make life better for the residents?
You mentioned that one of the major things that was on your mind was saying the right words, not getting it messed up, making sure what I shared during the swearing in was exactly what he wanted. Well, we heard your version of it. Let's see the actual swearing in. Let's take a look.
Wait, what?
Where?
I, your name.
I, Tim Killion,
Do solemnly swear.
solemnly swear
Support.
that I will support
The Constitution.
the Constitution
Of the United States.
of the United States
And the Constitution.
and the
Of the
Constitution
State of New Jersey.
of the State of New Jersey.
And I will bear true faith.
And I will bear true faith
And allegiance to the same.
and allegiance to the same,
And to the governments established.
and to the governments established
In the United
in
States.
the United States
And in this state.
and in this state,
Under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear.
I do further solemnly swear
That I will faithfully.
that I will faithfully,
Impartially.
impartially,
And justly.
and justly
Perform all the duties.
perform all the duties
Of the office.
of the office
Of the mayor.
of the mayor
Of Pennsauken
of
County.
Pennsauken Township,
According to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay.
I didn't know you had that.
Come on, man. We do what we do, okay? We tell the story. Now, having seen it again, what feelings, what memories did it conjure up?
Just very proud. I mean, I've lived in Pennsauken my whole life. And now to be in that position that the residents, that township committee trusted me in leading the township. It's humbling. You're proud. You're very proud. You know, you're a little scared too. I'm not going to lie, to be fully transparent and real, because it's like, hey, this is real. This is happening. And also it's like, hey, let's get going. Let's do this. Like, I love the town. That's why I still live there. And, there's an excitement and an energy of, all right, now with my vision combined with township committee, where can we take this? There's a lot of good, but there's a lot of opportunity in town. And, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Say you have a part, for any naysayers, you could change their minds. For the people who support you, you could solidify that, and you can make life better for someone. And that is at the true heart of me. As I've talked to some friends lately, and, going back to high school and college.
I'm seeing a pattern.
There's been a pattern. And honestly, being here at EDA was the right fit for me 4 years ago. Last week, I celebrated my 4-year anniversary. Was that this organization led by Ed DeAngelis, he wants to make people's lives better. And have a part in that in my professional life and now my political life as well. You can't beat it. You really can't.
Making people's lives better. And that's what I've seen throughout the duration of our friendship. Even when I stopped and saw the billboard, your running mate jumped out at me too. It was a black guy, a brother. And you have always wrapped your arms around diversity for forever. And it just seemed natural. I think I would have been surprised if it wasn't, because you just seem to build relationships, sincere relationships, with just about everyone who comes in your path.
Well, thank you. I got to give all that credit to my parents. We grew up on 49th Street in Pennsauken, and it was a very diverse neighborhood. When new neighbors moved in around the corner, and it was a young African-American family with a young daughter and son. And my dad said, hey, their first day of school, you're walking to school with them. My family, is diverse, especially on my father's side. We have a little bit of everything. It's a cornucopia of backgrounds and so forth. But it truly is my parents. And honestly, Pennsauken, it's been one of the strengths of our town is our diversity. And for me, it's about, it doesn't, it's so cliche, I know, it doesn't matter what you look like, it's the type of person you are. But ultimately, if you're a good person and I like being around you, I don't care if you're black, white, Spanish, yellow, green, blue, whatever it is. Like, if you're a good person, you're a good person, and you treat everyone the right way. And if you do that, that's going to be reciprocated. But when instilled in you, when I went to St. Cecilia's, and our principal, Miss Flannery, taught us, about the Beatitude attitude, and I'm sitting there next to a Spanish girl and a black guy and an Asian guy, and a white girl. Like, it's a little bit of everything. Like, that's just normal to me, And then in terms of my running mate and so forth, it's about, hey, let's find the best people for Pennsauken, right? And if they look different than me, great, because we want to reflect the town, right? And ultimately, I'm very proud of what our current committee looks like right now. We have our first African-American female who just got on. We have our first Hispanic male who is on. We have our first Hispanic and Middle Eastern deputy mayor, female. So, then we have the mayor currently, he's Italian, and I'm a little Italian and Irish.
So, no, your brother. So there's a question there. The question that ties into what we're talking about. It says, how can we lower the trend of growing tension and polarization that we see out here? How can we lower the trend of the growing tension and the polarization that exists?
First, I think everybody just needs to take a deep breath. We need to just kind of reset a little bit, because these paths that we're going down, it's scary, it's disappointing, and it's sad that it's 2021 and the images that you're seeing on TV and on the internet are kind of coming back full circle from 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years ago. I mean, come on, man. We all bleed. We're all one, right? Like, yeah, we might look different. We might have different backgrounds and perspectives on things, but come on, we're all people. How do we tamper it down? I think we got to start seeing each other as people with two eyes and two ears and a nose and a mouth and a heart, instead of blue or Democrat or Republican or this or that. It is just, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because, you know, I have two little ones, and it's like, what is this going to look like over the next few years? It's scary. It's scary. Like, we have to be better. We have to be better. Stop. Like, we got to stop with the color of the skin, or someone talks a little bit different than me. Like, stop being scared of each other. Like, embrace it.
Yeah. Embrace
the difference, because essentially that's what this country was really built on anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, and as we evolve, but in so many ways, people are too quick to try to put someone down or disregard or to push away, instead of trying to listen and understand and see how we can come together. It's not that hard. It truly isn't that hard. We are making it harder. People are actively choosing to be ignorant to each other for no reason. Not everything is political, nor should it be. And we're just people. We're just people. And I just hope that, I don't know what it's going to take, honestly, for that to happen. I'm kind of scared, because we've had some really big events over the last few years that should bring people together to say, okay, let's take a breath here and let's reset everything to where we can be all on the same page. And not everything's going to be cupcakes and rainbows, nor am I that naive to think that. But it doesn't need to be this severe, this visceral, and this vicious.
Think about the severity, it being visceral and vicious. What was your reaction when you saw that lieutenant in the military get the pepper spray in the eye when he was pulled over? How did that land on you?
Our country. He enlisted in the military to protect us so we can have all these freedoms. So you and I could sit here like this through Zoom, right? And you see the fear in his face. You hear the calmness that says, hey, look, just please tell me what I'm doing. You're wrong. And look, I'm not trying to indict everyone or anything, but we gotta just understand that a lot of people are in tough spots here. Police, I have a brother who's a cop, I have family members, and I know where his heart is and so forth. But look, there's some bad actors out there that are police. We've seen it. There are bad criminals too. So let's don't forget that. There are criminals that are bad who are looking to do bad things. So let's understand that. But if we are keeping the level at 10 all the time in everything we're doing, those visions, video images that we see in that and in so many other things are going to continue to escalate. Yes. And it's just going to be even more complete chaos. Like, there are good people on there are a lot of good people out here. There are some bad people. Let's not be naive, right? But if we are all at this high stress, chaotic level on everything we do, when you go to a restaurant and your dish comes out and the steak is overcooked or the chicken isn't, and you flip out, they're trying to kill you, or what are we doing? People make mistakes. There are issues, the things that we got to take care of. But if we're not going to be honest about it all, it's a problem. And if we are continuing being at this high level of stress across the board in everything, we're setting ourselves for failure.
We are, individually, organizationally, and as from a country standpoint.
Yes.
Tim, I want to just pull over a little and move into a segment of the show that we call the hot seat. With the hot seat, you're already sitting down, which is good. I'm going to give you a word. And I want you to talk to think rather than thinking to talk, which means, what's the first word, singular, that comes to mind when you hear that word? I ask in between give you 8 to 10 words, but when I give you the first word, don't go, no, you're thinking. No thinking, just go for it. Here we go.
All right.
Tim Killion, you're now on the hot seat. Your first word, family.
My heart, it's everything.
One word.
Heart. I'm sorry, one word. I apologize.
That mayor's coming out, got to explain everything. So the first word was family, you said heart. How about diversity? You're thinking.
Everything.
Trust.
Paramount.
Togetherness.
Always.
Wow.
My livelihood.
The future.
Excited.
EDA contractors.
Genuine.
Bridget Killian.
My love.
Leadership.
Challenging.
Philadelphia sports fans. Tim, you are off the hot seat. Good job. I want to go, you mentioned something earlier about your family. You talked about your mom, your dad, your brothers. You talked about your family. And earlier you talked about your children and your wife. I know family plays a paramount role in your life. Talk to us about your family, and then talk to us about how did we get here?
Sure. So I'm one of 5. I have an older brother, a younger brother, and 2 younger sisters. And I know I haven't mentioned those 2, but
yeah, they were going to get you.
yeah, one's a teacher and a coach, and loves children, and has been amazing her whole career with kids. And then the youngest, so it's Kim. The youngest, Kelly, is a coach at the University of Penn, women's basketball. Both of them were better athletes. I can't believe I'm saying this publicly. My 2 brothers, and were just amazing in basketball and soccer and so forth. So I'm one of 5. My parents, so one of 8 and one of 9. So I've known nothing but big families my entire life. And, a lot of revolves around family. And, being one of 5, we were our own starting 5 essentially growing up. And it's all about looking out for your brother and sister. And ultimately, look, if me and my brothers, especially my younger brother, Mike, we would go at it all. We were a year and a half apart, so we fought more than any.
And you took a loss every time, right?
Well, he'll say that, yeah. Well, I got really good because he was always stronger than me, hitting him and just running. He could never catch me. That was always good. But those relationships, so my older brother, I was able to watch him and watch what he did well and wanted to do better than that. So because he was my big brother, so I wanted to do better. And then watch what he did wrong. And between you and me, he might have did a few things wrong here and there. I watched what he did, and anytime my dad or mom yelled at him, and I would just do the opposite. And then I was pretty good, So, and for me, growing up and coming back from school, you know, sports was big my whole life, you know, and, you know, my parents were always running us all over the place. One of the reasons why I moved back to Pennsauken was to coach my sisters in basketball.
Wow.
Recognized talent, and those two were really good. So I helped coach their grade school team, and we won back-to-back champions in the CYO league.
Again, working to make someone else's life better.
Yeah.
Tell me the Tim and Bridget story. Bridget, a former Philadelphia Eagles cheerleader. All right, smooth operator. How'd you do that?
I don't know. I kind of think she was blind, and I don't know. Bad taste. I don't know. Like, so I met Bridget. So I would teach the first orientation class, traditions. Every new employee came through, and I pretty much during my career taught it more than anyone. I think when I left Commerce and TD, I think I taught over 12,000 people myself. So she was one of those, but she was one that really stood out as she came walking down the hallway as I stood outside the door to greet everyone as they arrived. And her blonde ponytail kind of flinging this big, you know, flinging in the air, and her big smile. And I was like, oh, this is nice, right? And
then you walked over to her and you said, hey, babe, do fries come with that shake? No, you didn't use that one?
Yeah, I didn't use that one. So the class started, and, you know, I noticed that she might have taken my humor or my jokes at times. And during one of the icebreaker exercises, we did something called a group resume, where everyone puts down one fact about them that people would not necessarily know, not like where you worked before, you know, or something like that, or that you know, something different or unique about you. Well, and you don't put your name, so you just write it on there and put it on there, and then you do a little interaction, guessing game, and all that. Well, anyway, on this big group resume hanging on the wall, it said Philadelphia Eagles cheerleader. So I was like, So I'm like, I wonder. So it came out that it was her. So long story short, with all that, we became very good friends. But even before that, actually, after class, she asked to stay for detention. She wanted to stay after.
Bridge is smooth too, huh?
No, just kidding. She actually worked in the same building as me, and we became friends and kind of hit it off. And one thing led to another. We started dating, and we got married. So we got married in 2008. And getting to the whole family thing, you know, you talk about ups and downs in your life. For over 7 years, 4 different doctors, many IVFs and IUIs, and you name it with fertility. We went through it, specifically my wife. And we couldn't have a kid. You know, like I said, we went to 4 doctors. It was finally the 4th doctor finally explained to us what was happening. The previous 3 doctors, and if anyone's out there, it's going through infertility, you're not alone. It's more common than I thought, that anyone thinks. It's to be blunt, it sucked. It really, sorry, but it hits you at your core when you're trying and you want something so bad and you can't do it, and there's nothing you could do about it. The first 3 doctors just said it was something called unexplained infertility, which would blow my mind. I'm saying we're spending all this time, energy, and money, and you have all these degrees on the wall, and you can't tell us why this can't happen. Finally, the 4th doctor did. He recognized what was going on, made a couple tweaks, and she did get pregnant. Unfortunately, much like a lot of times, a lot of folks, we lost the babies. It was the twins, unfortunately, and that was rough. And the doctor said, no, we got you pregnant. It worked to stay with us. And we believed in him, and we did. And Bridget said, I'll go through it once. And what people don't realize, the amount of medication, shots, and things that you have every day. I was giving her at least 1 needle every day.
Wow.
To help with the hormones and all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to go into all the details. And this was the last shot. And if it didn't work, it didn't work. Thinking about looking at adoption and so forth. And it worked. And it brought us Aiden. And Bridget wanted to, you know, afterwards, you know, after some time, she said, hey, look, I want to try to have a brother or sister for, you know.
Wow.
but really wanted a girl, a little princess, because Bridget has one sister. She's like, I can't imagine growing up without my sister. And I said, listen, there were some times growing up, I wish I was the only child, one of five. But I said, hey, look, you're the one truly that has to go through it. My job is to support you. And, your body has to go through all this. You have to go through all the medication and the blood work and the shots. And she said, I want to give it one more shot. And we did. And we got lucky again on, essentially we did, I think it was, Aiden was number 9 and Ashton was number 10 with in vitro fertilization, which is a whole big process or whatnot.
Amazing. Amazing.
So we have our family. Yeah.
You and Bridge have the two angels. That certainly was a miracle.
Yes.
A miracle at home. However, you're featured in a book called A Miracle at Work.
Mavericks at Work. Mavericks at Work.
Mavericks at Work. Mavericks at Work. I'm here, Mavericks at Work. We're going to put a picture of the book cover, Mavericks at Work, and tell us what went into this and why did they choose you? Talk to us.
This is my days back at Commerce. And, I was doing a lot of the training with Traditions and a lot of the different WOW events and emceeing and hosting and different programs for our employees and at times customers and so forth. And the authors were really impressed with Commerce Bank and how we were going the opposite direction of what we used to call the herd, which was all those other banks that were only open Monday through Friday from 9 till 3 and all that, the typical banker's hours and so forth with the pens attached to the desk. They recognized that Commerce was the complete opposite of that. So they were doing a deep dive into commerce and everything commerce. So they featured the founder and the CEO, Vernon Hill, Dennis DeFlorio, who oversaw the whole retail operation and so forth. And they tapped me on the shoulder because of my work with WOW, with customer service and so forth. And they recognized, I guess, what I was doing. And they thought that it was really something that differentiated ourselves. And I guess my goofy personality and energy did as well. So they asked if I would participate in being interviewed for the book. And I said, sure, why? I never thought I'd be in a book. So I said, yeah. And I interviewed with them and the book came out and my name's in print. So
blown away. Customer engagement, employee engagement, family engagement, wife, children engagement. I'm thinking I know everything about you until I did my research and see that you also are a pet whisperer. Walk us through what's happening in this video at home when you are pet engaging with, I believe, your pooch flyer.
What is
Take
this?
a look.
Good boy. You ready? Here we go. Walk, 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 walk. Good boy. Walk.
Heel.
Heel, 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 heel. Up. Good boy. Up like a treat.
What is going on?
Here we go.
My wife, wait till I get a hold of my wife here.
You are doing the darn thing.
Well, if anyone who has a dog, or Jack Russell specifically, they have a ton of energy. And Flyer, who's named after the Philadelphia Flyers, I'm a huge Phillies fan.
Let's go Flyers.
Yeah. It was just a way for him to kind of train him, to get him out running and try to exert some of that energy so he doesn't drive us crazy all the time. So that's that whole little obstacle course. Sue Patel, who is this awesome dog trainer out of Maple Shade, New Jersey. She's done wonders with him and with us training him. And this is a way for him to have some fun and get out there. So
always finding a way to make someone's life better. You're VP of marketing, communications and branding. How has that line of work changed from your previous line of work?
So it's very simple. EDA and Ed DeAngelis, are the owner and the president, gives us all an opportunity to kind of challenge ourselves and explore other opportunities and to kind of take a chance and take a risk. Ed hired me as the culture director here 4 years ago, which in construction, there's nothing remotely even close to that. People thought he was crazy, thought it was a waste of money. Can't believe that he was spending energy and resources and money on culture in general, let alone to hire someone to do so, as well as all the other things he does for the employees. But truly, when I interviewed with him, the one thing that stuck out for me and why I decided to come over, he said to me, Tim, this ain't about the money anymore for me. He's like, the money will come. He said, I want my employees to be happy, and I want their families to be happy. He said, that's what I'm trying to build here. He said, the money, the work will come as long as people enjoy working here, have fun working here, and go home and share that experience and be in a good mood. And because the stereotypes about construction, some of them are true. You know, it is intense, it is crazy, it's over the top at times. There's a lot of pressure, and there's a whole bunch connected to that. He wanted to alleviate that.
Wow.
So he brought me on for that, you know, culture director. And as Ed does, he keeps challenging you. And after a few months, he said, hey, I want you to I want you to oversee marketing, get involved with marketing. Well, first for marketing, I said, all right, let me get the culture stuff straight, right? And then he was like, I took that and he's like, look, I want you to take on on HR as well. So then I was doing HR and a little bit of marketing and the culture. And then ultimately, after doing that for a while, he said, hey, you know, you have a skill set and a talent and a passion for marketing, for communicating, and for the brand. And the brand took me all the way back to commerce. It was really drilled. The brand is paramount in what that represents. So he said, I want you to head up all of marketing, all of communications, and I want you to protect the brand, you know, and to represent and share what EDA really means. So
based on what we've seen, you're doing a phenomenal job at that. We've seen pictures of you with the softball team, pictures of you at Christmas celebrations, picture of you
with duck,
yes. Pictures of you opening gifts and everything. There's just a whole lot that you are bringing to the organization that's helping to create that experience for everyone. And again, we're just highlighting, showing pictures of you with those ducks.
Make-A-Wish, Jim, Dr. James, sorry. This past Friday, if anyone saw 3, 6, 10 or Fox 29, we did a Make-A-Wish. The picture is from a few years ago for a kid named Nicholas who wanted to be a construction worker for the day. And it was my best day of work I've ever had. What this company, what EDA did for this young 4-year-old who, you know, is in remission right now with cancer. But that's what he wanted to be. He didn't want to go to Disney World. He didn't want to go to Hawaii like other kids. He wanted to be a construction worker for the day. And what this company did for him was something short of unbelievable. I never experienced something to the level of detail that we all did to put a smile and to make this kid's day just a little bit brighter, and his parents who have been through so much. And that's the realness, the genuineness of EDA, and is so amazing, and it's really been eye-opening for me and truly touching.
I feel it. I feel it. We're about to land the plane. Let me share this comment in the chat room. Then I have one more exercise for you. It says, how impressive. I'm lucky if I can get my dog to sit and give a paw. The treats help too. Tim, here we go. I'm a speaker. I've seen you speak, present. We've even worked together on the stage, working with clients. This part of the show, I ask that our guests make a 30-second keynote presentation or a mini keynote where you come from the heart and share your call to action. What do you want people to think, to feel, to believe? You have 30 seconds considering where we are and where we're going, where you want us to go. I want you to put on your wow hat, your mayor hat, your Tim, the sibling, the father, the son, the husband. 30 seconds. Your mini keynote starts now.
It's very simple. Never did I think I was going to work in banking or self-storage or even construction. I hated numbers. I didn't know what self-storage really was. And I'm so far away from being handy that working at construction, my family laughed at me. But it's all about taking advantage of the opportunity in front of you. And that doors open unexpectedly. And don't be afraid to walk in them, because you never know where that's going to take you. And ultimately, it's going to take you and could take you down a path that is going to expose you to wonderful people, wonderful experiences, and have an impact on others. And to me, there's nothing better than that, having an impact on others and helping others and helping their lives be a little bit better. Because at the same time, they're making your life better. And if you can put a smile on someone's face, truly, there isn't anything better in my book than that. But sometimes the door opens up that you weren't expecting, or something happens that you really wanted and it didn't work out. But then the next day, something opens for you. Walk through it. Most times you don't have anything to lose. And if you walk through that, your life could be forever changed. And more importantly, you could forever change someone else's life.
Thank you. Thank you. Tim just dropped the mic. The theme, I guess you can say, for today was making other people's life better, creating experiences for others, walking, running through that door, and you never know what might happen. Tim Killion, Super Tim, more than thank you for coming through. I don't know how you wear both those hats, but you get it done. And for those of you who are watching, we did it again. We did it again. We'll see you next week. And don't forget, you've just been Genpacted.